Hello valued viewers, I hope you're all doing very well. Pony back again with another Sea Power video, this time taking a look at some new tools that we have added in our ASW toolkit with the latest patch that just came out. To go along with our legacy SSQ53 DIFAR passive sonobuoy, we now have the SSQ62 DICASS active sonobuoys. Be interested to know that both these sonobuoys are still currently in use by the US Navy, and they are a vital tool in our everyday ASW fight. Today we have a P3 Orion set up to lay sonobuoys against a Victor 1 Soviet submarine that I've set up here to the north. I've laid out these observation posts at 1 mile intervals. Don't worry, they're not going to get in the way. They're sitting on the seabed. But they're just markers for us to be able to reliably put sonobuoys every mile towards the Victor. This way we'll be able to evaluate exactly when we get contact with each type of sonobuoy. In theory, we should be getting detection earlier with the active sonobuoys given the nature of how they work. Whether or not that's modeled properly in Sea Power, we'll find out. As always, with anything in naval warfare, the answer is always, it depends. And we will have to see how the performance goes. We are going to start with passive sonobuoys. And another thing that they've added here to the game, if you right-click on the asset here, you can tell your ASW asset what layer you want the buoys to search, whether it's above the layer, below the layer, go in between. You can do that for both active and passive. So pretty cool. We're going to go above the layer because that's where I have placed the submarine. We already know this. That's not the point. We're not trying to just find the submarine. We already know roughly where it is up here to the north. The point is seeing where along our search track we gain contact between the two different types of buoys. So we're going to say above the layer. I'm going to start with the furthest out 25 miles, place it next to the observation post, unpause, speed it up a little bit here. I do not expect to get contact out at 25 miles, not even close, but we're going to work our way in. For the first 10 or 12 miles, we'll lay buoys every 2 miles, and then as we get closer, we will lay them every 1 mile. Right. Okay. Got contact immediately with a passive sonobuoy. Didn't expect that. Don't really think I should have got it. The submarine's set up to be above the layer, doing 1/3, and we've got contact at 23.5 miles. Actually, let's take a look here from the sonobuoy. Contact at 25 miles. Okay, well, let's alter our experiment. We'll push it out to 30 miles and see what happens then. This one's going to be at 30 miles. I'm a little surprised we got contact at 25. That's not anywhere close to realistic, even in a surface duct. Oh, there we go. No contact at 30 miles. We will start there and walk it in. Drop. No contact. Okay, so this will be at 28 miles from contact. And again, no contact. Okay. All good. Let's set up another one. Still no contact. All right. We're going to go ahead and set a few of these up. Pause. Okay, so we have contact from this buoy, presumably, because it's the closest one. And we've got contact somewhere in this ellipse. All right, so we will say 1030. You right here. That'll give me a good crossfix. I can go ahead and narrow down the size of that ellipse. Okay, there it is. So we picked it up with this sonobuoy right here, 26 miles. Well, that's our benchmark. The DIFAR, the passive sonobuoy, appears to have a range against a Victor 1 anyway of 25 to 26 nautical miles. Let's go ahead and see what the DICASS performance is. Let me go ahead and reset. All right, let's go ahead and get our P3. And I've put another observation post out at 40 miles just because I think we're going to get contact earlier. So let's make sure our buoys are set up for above the layer. Give me one, please. And we're going to set it right there. Unpause. Okay. No contact, but one thing I do want to do is come over here to our buoy. I am a buoy. Alright, so let's make our 1 mile mark. You'll notice we got A now for active versus P for passive. This should be an A right here. Something that they'll fix, I'm sure, in another patch. These holes right here, viewers, these are all for the Sonobuoy launcher. And what's cool about the old P3 Orion was that you could reload sonobuoys from inside the fuselage of the airplane. And you could change out your loadout of buoys as you saw fit while you were out on mission. Of course, their missions could last hours and hours and hours. Sustainment on a P3 is just huge. On a P8, which is the platform that has replaced the P3, at least in the US Navy, you cannot do that. Once they're loaded up from the outside before takeoff, that's what you get. You get more buoys with the P8, but you cannot change your loadout once you're in the air. And as you can see, we've got our A for active. No contact. Did I say 40 miles to begin with on this one, viewers? My apologies. 35 miles is where we started out. Another 5 miles further. And don't worry, that's not sea powering us and deleting our request for buoy. It's got a plane has figured out it can't make that turn, so it goes out and does an approach on a track that it believes it can launch the buoy at. Why it needs to go out 10 miles, I have no idea. Give me another one. Here, please. Still no contact. We're at 30 miles now. Now you may see the loadout and say, why do we only get 12 DICASS versus 36 DIFAR? Well, one is weight. DICASS are a heck of a lot heavier than the DIFAR buoys are. And two is how you utilize them. The tactics are totally different. You don't want a whole field of DICASS buoys out there. They have a chance to interfere with each other, have destructive interference, which destroys your recognition differential. I'm sure they're not modeled in game, but there are tactics to use one DICASS and a field of DIFAR in order to extend your range. Basically what's called bistatic operation. Now I know I promised one every 2 miles to start with, viewers, but as we've now passed the point where DIFAR got contact, we're going to have to go every mile to be as scientific as possible. No, not the most visually exciting video today, viewers, but I assure you it is incredibly important science. Now another ASW question that comes up every now and then, viewers, is ASW weapons that we've got in the game with the latest mods that have come out, especially Arleigh Burke and 2000s VLS era Ticonderoga and the torpedoes they've got, namely having the Mark 50 in there. A little bit of an inaccuracy there. The Mark 50 was disestablished from use in the early to mid 2000s decade, replaced by the Mark 54, much better weapon. Mark 50 had some improvements over the Mark 46, but the cost just didn't justify its existence, and the Mark 54 outperformed it in just about every single category you could think of. So it'd be nice to have the mod makers or the core developers put the Mark 54 in there, but we'll have to see what comes out. Like a lot of things that were developed near the end of the or mid to late 1980s and early 90s, systems were developed for an adversary that no longer existed, and so their continued existence in the real world just made no sense. Okay, well, we've gotten a lot farther in this string than I would have anticipated with the DICASS. The reasons for that are obviously many. One of the main ones could be that whereas all the power that the DIFAR buoy supplies just goes to listening, meaning the hydrophones that it has on board can power those up to a point where they can hear a lot farther out than what you can hear with on the DICASS buoys, because a lot of your power in the DICASS buoy has to be used on the transducer to send out a ping. There's only so much battery life on board, only so much battery power that you can surge at one point in time to generate a ping, and it takes a lot of electric power to send out an acoustic ping in the water. which doesn't leave a whole lot of power for listening. So that could be what's going on here. Pause. Okay. We actually found him at a range of 4.7 nautical miles. So, DIFAR, 25 to 26 nautical miles. DICASS, 4.7 nautical miles. And that, viewers, is why we use DIFAR as a search asset, although not wide area search, more of a localized search, and a DICASS as an extreme localizer. If you've got other potential friendly assets in the area, you want to know where everything is to the gnat's ass, and that's where DICASS can help you out if you're trying to keep your own submarines from going active. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was obviously very exciting and very important science, and I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye.